Boxingego here. If you like this video, make sure you hit the like button and also subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon on the top of your screen to get notified when the latest new content drops. What up, fight world? It's your boy Ego and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button and subscribe to the channel. 2017 is lit. I'm back with some more boxing. You know how I do. Make sure you guys hit that like button. Now, I did a video about Carl Frampton and the updated rankings. Can I talk about some rankings? Rankings came out. I want to talk about them. And this actually came up on the previous Monday Mail Day. Someone asked me the question and I was stumped. I didn't really know the exact answer, but now we have the answer. Now, the question was, at welterweight, they had said immediately after Danny Garcia lost to Keith Thurman that he was rated #1. But then after that point in April, so Garcia and Thurman fought in March, and then in April, we had the fight, which I covered. I went over to New York again, you know what I mean, back-to-back months in March and April. I went to the Golovkin-Jacobs, and then I went back to New York for Berto Porter. They said Berto Porter was elevated to a WBC eliminator. So the question on Monday Mail Day was, who is the #1 rated mandatory? If Shawn Porter fights Berto, and the winner, which we know is now, in hindsight, we know Porter won that fight. So Shawn Porter won an eliminator, but the previous month after losing to Keith Thurman, they said Danny Garcia was rated #1. So who has that #1 spot? Now the ratings came out. You should see it on screen. And the answer is, drumroll please, Shawn Porter. Shawn Porter is now the #1 mandatory, because I didn't know how that was going to work, because I knew it was an eliminator, the Berto fight, but they had just said that Danny Garcia was the #1 mandatory. So I wasn't sure how that would work. This is the answer. This is off the WBC's official website, and Shawn Porter is listed at the #1 spot. Danny Garcia is listed at the #2 spot, right? And then Jesse Vargas in at #3. Keith Thurman obviously is the champion, and Floyd Mayweather is the emeritus champion, who he's pretty much retired. I love it. Welterweight division is stacked, and Shawn Porter deserves it. Like I said, the Berto fight, I thought it could have been harder. There were some headbutts and stuff, but he won the fight, and that's Shawn Porter's style. You have to kind of prepare for the ruggedness, the in the trenches. He shows massive heart, even in both of his losses to Thurman and also his loss to Kell Brook. He shows heart, so you have to be ready to get your hands dirty when you're in there with Shawn Porter. Find a way. You have to. Kell Brook got roughed up, and I remember he got a cut in the Shawn Porter over his eye or his brow or something, and you just have to find a way to negate that. And Brook, to his credit, uses his height, he used his boxing ability, and this was his first big fight. You know what I mean? This was no Carson Jones or Sinchenko, and Brook used a great jab, clinch when he needed to. So you have to be prepared to do those types of things to, like, suffocate and suppress the pressure Porter. This is what they train for. I've been to the Porter gym, and oh, excuse me, Kenny doesn't like when I call it a gym. I've been to the Porter High Performance Center, right? And it's legit. They got nice equipment in there. They have a ring. They have, like, expensive equipment. They have like a nice fancy ice tub to replenish the body after a long workout when the fighters are sore. Then they have the kind of like the hyperbaric chamber to change the altitude. And Shawn Porter, this is what he does. I'm sure he goes to UNLV and all these tracks and stuff. He's in the mountains. I mean, he trains for that. So, I mean, he definitely deserves a great ranking. And either way, Keith Thurman beat the #1 and 2 guy. So when you think about it, Keith Thurman got to get credit. You got to give Thurman some credit, because in his last 2 fights, he beat the guys that are still ranked #1 and 2 within the WBC. Everybody wants the green belt, right? And he beat them already. You could say the Shawn Porter fight was close. Me personally, in Porter, I fuck with the Porter family. I had Thurman winning. I thought it was a good, competitive, fight of the year type. I had Thurman winning. I thought he landed effective, clean blows, and even though Shawn Porter did really good, I think hurt Thurman to the body and never showed weakness, even when he was probably hurt. I had Thurman winning, but it was still a great fight. I definitely don't mind a rematch. I don't know, sometimes, I don't know how these things work, because I don't work for the sanctioning bodies. I work for myself, but Porter definitely deserves a Thurman rematch. The first fight was classic, instant classic, like a Joshua Klitschko type of fight. So there's money in the second fight. And they can, you know, I would even like if they brought it to the West Coast. Bring Keith Thurman out here. Shawn Porter went close to where Thurman's from. Thurman's from Clearwater, whatever, Florida. And they fought on the East Coast at the Barclays. Bring this to Vegas. You know what I mean? Bring it to one of the Staples or something in LA. I'm sure fans would get a kick out of that, and it would do good numbers because both guys have an action style. Both guys can throw. Their first fight was a classic. I mean, this is not rocket science here. But again, I don't work for the sanctioning bodies. Maybe they'll make some kind of Shawn Porter needs to fight Danny Garcia, the number 1 and 2, to really establish who gets the Thurman rematch. But I talked to the Porters recently within the last month. The videos of Kenny are still up, or they are up on the channel already. My part with Shawn Porter, I forgot. I got to put that up, but I'm going to put that up. He wants the Thurman fight. Kenny Porter wants the Thurman fight. And Kenny Porter said in the interview, you guys could see the video, he said, okay. I said, any message for Keith? He said, Keith, we'll see you soon. Point blank, period. So they want the fight. And yeah, man, interview with Porter coming soon. Boxing has just been great. Very great. You know what I mean? This is what happened. This is, honestly, to me, this has been a phenomenal year, but this is what needs to happen. You got a champion like Keith Thurman, 1-time, became 2-time. I interviewed him. He says he wants to fight Pacquiao and stuff like that. You got guys like Danny Garcia and Shawn Porter, who even in their loss to Keith Thurman, or Shawn Porter's loss to Kell Brook, they weren't really embarrassing losses. You could say, okay, Danny Garcia could have did more or whatever, but in their official losses, they didn't get knocked down and like manslaughtered in there. You know what I'm saying? And they're still right up there, and that's what needs to happen. Shawn Porter lost to Kell Brook, fought a couple other guys, Eric Bonays, and he fought Thurman. And then he lost to Thurman. So they put him in an eliminator situation. Like, okay, he's still a top level fighter. Put him in an eliminator. He wins the eliminator in a one-sided fashion pretty much. And now he's right back there. You know what I'm saying? So this is how a well-oiled machine should work. This is how boxing should work. You're in the number 1 spot. You're the champion with 2 belts. Keith Thurman has more belts than anybody in the welterweight division. Errol Spence is fighting Kell Brook for 1 belt. That's the IBF belt. Keith Thurman has the WBA and the WBC belt, right? So when you're in that top spot, everybody's checking for you. You have the bullseye in your back. And you look at it, and these are all great fights, man. You got, even beyond that, let's say Shawn Porter gets the Keith Thurman fight next. Let's say the WBC puts in the orders and mandates, hey, Thurman, you want to keep that WBC belt? You got to rematch Shawn Porter. Look at number 2 and number 3. I wouldn't mind that fight. Danny Garcia versus Jesse Vargas. Okay, Vargas, he hasn't fought since November, but he lost to a legend. He lost to Manny Pacquiao. I pretty much knew that was going to happen based on the stylistic matchup, but that's a good fight. Jesse Vargas has some height. He can box. He can get his hands dirty. He can brawl. So I'm really liking the WBC rankings right now. Even the number 3 and 4, Konstantin Ponomarev. He's from Russia. He was Errol Spence's mandatory, but they opted to take some more time, develop their fighter. He's undefeated. Put him in there with Jesse Vargas. Or Adrian Broner. Adrian Broner's rated number 5 at welterweight. You know what I mean? Broner versus Konstantin Ponomarev. I would not mind that. And you see Lucas Matisse, bit of a layoff. They have Lucas Matisse. He's rated at number 8. You know what I mean? So put Lucas in there. Berto's still rated at number 10. He's still top 10. Put Berto and Matisse together. You know what I mean? Because you can say whatever you want about Berto, but Matisse quit in his last fight. And at the end of the day, Berto, he seemed like he lost a little bit of focus with the headbutts and the head clash. Lucas Matisse has power, definitely power to hurt, but Berto, he got stopped, but he didn't get stopped where he was just unconscious and stuff like that. So that could be a good fight. Adrian Broner versus Berto, you know what I mean? Konstantin Ponomarev, Jesse Vargas. So I'm really liking the top 10 with the WBC. Respects to the WBC. You can mix and match these guys. I'm happy for Shawn Porter. I think he deserves a rematch with Keith Thurman. To me, this is just my honest opinion. I like Danny Garcia a lot. But if you look at both of their fights with Thurman, clearly Shawn Porter deserves. And I get it, Keith Thurman fought a slightly different style of fight versus Danny Garcia in that second half. But if you just look at what we witnessed for 12 rounds, Shawn Porter easily deserves the rematch versus Thurman in terms of entertainment value, in terms of his output and his performance. Danny Garcia got off to an extremely slow and like vulnerable start. You know what I mean? And it wasn't until Keith Thurman switched his game plan and slowed down that Danny Garcia started to make some headway and stuff like that. So I would rather see Porter Thurman 2 over Thurman Garcia. I'd rather see Garcia fight Jesse Vargas, Konstantin Ponomarev, Adrian Broner, get back, you know what I mean, get back that confidence. I seen on Danny Garcia's Instagram the other day, he says he can't wait to get back and he's ready to destroy somebody, but we'll see. Let me know what you guys think. The Porter interview will be on the channel soon, and let's go, man. Everybody's gunning for Keith Thurman. He has 2 of the belts. We got Brook and Spence happening in 2 weeks. Welterweight division is alive and well. You also got guys like Luis Collazo. Shout out to my dude from BK. Shout out to Collazo, because I don't care what nobody says. I don't know. It's weird that he's not rated within the WBC, but he could scrap. And a lot of people thought he beat Berto when Berto was undefeated. A lot of people thought he beat Ricky Hatton. He's been in there with Shane Mosley. That's experience. And he just stopped Sammy Vasquez, who has never been stopped, even by Felix Diaz, who is now fighting Terrence Crawford. So Collazo, even though he's not rated, mix him in there. I would love to see Danny Garcia versus Collazo at the Barclays. Collazo being from Brooklyn, Danny Garcia of Puerto Rican American descent, and same thing with Collazo, Puerto Rican American descent, and he's played spoiler. Interesting stylistic matchup. Also, Collazo versus Adrian Broner. That's another good fight. Collazo versus Lucas Matisse. Welterweight division is cracking. Even the guys who aren't even in the top 15 can still do some work and do some damage. That's how you know you're in a stacked division. But Brook Spence is coming up. I would love to see the winner of that try to unify with Keith Thurman, which I believe would supersede and trump mandatory obligation. I think that's how most of the sanctioning bodies work. But if not, let's see Keith Thurman. He said he wants to fight in like October, November. Let's see the Porter rematch. And let me know where you guys think that should happen. And or would you prefer like Danny Garcia versus Porter, which is another great fight. I just don't know if they should make Porter go through another monkey drill to get to Thurman when he just went through an eliminator to get to Thurman, and that was the Berto fight. Let me know your thoughts. That is the current rankings, the most current rankings. They just put these rankings up hot off the presses. You know how I do. I got to give you guys the latest and greatest in boxing. Let me know what you guys think. These are the updated rankings. Make sure you share the video, like the video as always, hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video, it's Ego signing off. So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button, and you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxingego, the future of boxing.